Martin, don't worry. Don't worry, we've got 4 liters of wine. Oh yeah. If the ceilings in here were just a little bit taller, I'll tell you right now, there would be a very small but very useful indoor ramp for riding skateboards and BMX in here. Problem is, headspace, not so good. It's hot, 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 hot. Did you ever watch the show Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory? The premise of the show is pretty simple. Rob Dyrdek is a professional skateboarder, but he got a warehouse, built a skate park in it, and put his office on one of the skate plaza parts of the warehouse floor. There's an underlying theme of every episode of some sort of skateboarding with another story surrounding it. I always found it to be the most captivating idea for a show, and I always enjoyed the different subject matter that came up in each episode, always knowing there was going to be some sort of underlying interest in any given episode that's going to keep me engaged and keep me watching the entire time through. Every time I think about where this channel is going to go, it always goes in that direction. While of course the shed situation doesn't exactly lend itself well to real life human-sized ramps and offices, that is the direction that this channel is working towards and what it will succeed at achieving. Okay, let's open some mail. It's not very often you get a cylindrical shaped package. What do you suppose it is about watching someone open mail that's so satisfying? I always love this segment in other people's vlogs. Like, what's gonna be in there? Even if it's nothing. Just watching someone open a box. It's sick. Look at the size of these grips and these bars and this stem. Okay, so full disclosure, I did know this was coming, but wow, this thing's like brand hammer new. Brian, thanks, man. This is going to make that thing absolutely insane. Well, I kind of feel like I should probably ride some flat pedals now. This is the best shipped cylinder I've ever received. Brian, thank you. I know what's in this one. I ordered this a month ago, hoping to get the Schwinn ready a lot quicker, but it's here now. God, look how thin this is. And it weighs nothing. I wish that the clamp size on this, the stack height that is, was similar to this so that I could safely run this on that Fox fork and see what it's like. But this is the solution to the slightly short steer tube on that bike right now. Look at the drop on that. 10-year warranty. I'm also pretty sure I know what's in here. And I'm hoping that it's going to be the finalized portion of a project that we've had ongoing for a long time. And it is. Proper Tektro Mini V-brakes for the budget gravel bike build. I may have ordered 2 sets because one is going to go on a personal bike, like, soon. So many opportunities to work on cool stuff. So if you're not familiar with the budget build gravel bike, you're a new subscriber and you didn't follow any of those builds at all yet, it is this Norco Monterey that is a cantilever bike that I have V-brakes on with SRAM Rival shifters, which means a road bike pull ratio at the brakes, but when I ordered the mini V-brakes that I did order, they weren't quite mini enough, not quite right, and it could be better. That is why we chased after the proper V-brake from Tektro. Thankfully, V-brakes are like insanely easy to swap over. 2 bolts here, the 1 bolt there, and you are done. So it quickly goes from these brake arms to this within 10 minutes. Rear, front, done with proper brake pad gap, which is going to be hard to see because it's going to be dark there. Good lever pull and lots of brake pad gap so that the wheel can, and everything will be fine. Nick, it is worth knowing that if you want to go any bigger than a 40, you're going to need to go cantilevers, though I wouldn't recommend going over a 40. These are perfect. I'll tell you, the way these clamp onto the wheel would outperform any mechanical disc brake any day of the week. And you could take that to the bank. I don't know if they'll let you deposit it, but you could take it there. Let's do some science as to why these, with those levers, wouldn't work as good as these with these levers. The explanation for this comes simply from a triangle like this. You can call this similar triangles if you like, but to make it a little more obvious, call this your pivot point, call this your brake arm, and your brake pad will be somewhere in here. Now as the cable pulls this way on the brake arms to bring them in, the place where the cable is bolted down here needs to travel this distance, let's call it X, to make this brake pad end up here. So as it pulls this way, it has to travel distance X, which is this distance here, to get this to hit the rim. Now it should be obvious that if the bolt is down here and the cable is cinched here, that when the cable pulls and moves the arm in the same way, that it actually has a shorter distance, let's call it X divided by 2, to travel. These are the differences in mechanical advantage, right? If that is a little bit frustrating to follow and hard to understand because it's such a mess, try and think of it as a stubborn, stuck bottom bracket cup. You originally try with the normal length of your tool to take the bottom bracket cup out. But it's annoying, so you need a little more force in the way of mechanical advantage. So you add a wrench so that you can take the force from up here to here and get more torque because of leverage, mechanical advantage at the pivot point, your bottom bracket cup. After a longer distance traveled, it eventually breaks loose and you get it off. So think about how much distance is traveled to make this move this way. To get the same degree of movement, you have to push from up here a lot further. The same is true for cable pull, and your lever is your push point. And considering a road, cantilever, and disc lever has less cable pull than that of a V-brake, that ends up being the reason that the brake pads have to be so close to the rim so that the lever doesn't pull to the bar before the brake pads actually actuate. Now do not get me wrong, those long lever arms, they are powerful. They work really good, but if you can't get them to work without having to bottom out your lever or the brake has to rub all the time, it's no good. So having your mechanical advantages match up so that you have the proper amount of cable pull and a reasonable amount of gap between the pad and your rim, and a proper amount of lever pull so that you're not here or all the way to the bar, that's the way to go. Did that make sense, or was it just kind of a mess? I just kind of did this all completely off the top of my head. Okay, I'm glad this thing is finally complete and ready to go, although I'll be very sad to see it ship away. But how about these new parts? This is now the start of the new all-mountain bike. I've got a set of handlebars that have 35mm clamp area, I think. A really short stem. A set of Spank Uzi pedals. I also have this helmet. So there are the beginning parts. This is going to go on. This is going to go on this. I appreciate all the support, whether it's being here for every video, support through Patreon, support through parts sent in the mail, support through buying stuff through the merch store, which you can still do. Shipping is still going on. If you're buying your bike parts, your groceries, or like your toilet paper through my Amazon links, all that stuff is helping wildly towards growing this channel and getting ready to lease a warehouse so that we can like build the offices in the skate park and the indoor dirt jump park and, you know, start shooting videos in there. It's gonna be good.